Good evening, everybody. Thank you so much for listening. This is Hunter here, and I'm here with Scott. Scott, how you doing, my friend?
I'm just delightful. Thanks, Hunter.
Well, I am happy to hear that, friend. Very sorry we're bringing you this review a day late. Basically, it was old Hunter's 30th birthday this past weekend, and Hunter might have gotten
Uh-oh.
yeah, my Hunter might have got a little toasted. Thanks to and thank you to all the people who came out. I appreciate that. But yeah, there were lots of shots of tequila and whiskey, and then there was beer, and there were AMFs. It was just a really bad alcohol combination across the board. So, dude, I didn't eat till 7 yesterday. Like I legit was like that afraid to eat anything. So, yeah, yesterday was rough.
Sounds like you had a great time.
It was a good time, and as you know, Scott, I'm a really happy drunk. So,
Yeah, you are.
yeah. So, um,
And slutty.
well, I mean, whatever. Don't judge me. All right, come on.
Dude, to each their own.
Yeah, if if the girl or guy is being super sweet, whatever. I mean, what? Uh, but only for you, Scott. Only for you. But guys, we're here to talk about a movie that I was so. Let's be fair. With all the DC movies, all of this has been, would you say, a slightly harsh towards all of them? I mean,
We've been a bit skeptical,
yeah.
I would.
Well, because I remember Suicide Squad was in you and Colin's top 10 worst movies of last year. You guys hated Suicide Squad.
That was definitely one of the 10 worst movies I saw last year. So, DC is not like it's not making me super happy lately.
Yeah, that's fair.
So I mean, it has been making a lot of people happy lately. So we always say this, they need a big one. They need one to really get them, back onto the scene. And they definitely tried with Wonder Woman.
They needed a movie to inspire, dare I say, wonder, if you will. But I hope.
Very nice.
Thank you. But so I'm gonna tell you right now, Scott. I going in this, man. I was praying, man. I really was because I'm sitting there going. I'm walking in the theater. I'm thinking, God, can you guys get one of these right? It shouldn't be as hard as you're making it. It really is like with most of the X-Men films, where you get your First Class and your Logan, your Deadpool, but the rest of the other X-Men movies aren't super awesome. And Apocalypse, I was not a fan of. But um, so we have really an unproven actress in Gal Gadot. We have a director who hasn't made a film in 14 years, because Monster with Charlize Theron was the last movie she made. That was 2000. Yeah, that was 2003. So
Wow.
14 years since she's made a feature film. And Scott, it is honestly hilarious to me how much stuff this movie had going against it, and how and this is definitely somewhat of a backhanded compliment. It's the best DC movie I think since The Dark Knight, in my personal opinion.
Mm.
So,
Yeah, I feel like they took a shot with this one, as they have been trying to. It's not like they haven't been taking any shots, but yeah, for sure, definitely the best one I've seen since. I mean, Man of Steel comes nowhere close to this. I know you guys didn't like it very much, but I thought Man of Steel was okay. But that was really the closest they've got to any sort of development in
I
this
agree. Yep.
universe. So I feel like, you know, I think this is what they need. You're talking about Patty Jenkins hasn't done one in a really long time, and Gal Gadot is unproven, but I think that is what they needed. Like they needed some outside voices and some different kind of star power to really boost this kind of like to get people familiar with not only Wonder Woman but just this universe and um I really think that they hit a home run with this one.
Yeah, so let's kind of jump in here. So you didn't read a lot of Wonder Woman growing up as a kid, I'm assuming.
No, I did not.
Okay, so you're talking to someone here who,
But I know I'm sorry about
No,
the
go ahead.
interrupt, but I know she's got one, she's got a lasso,
True.
and two, she's got like a sweet invisible plane.
Yeah, there was
That's pretty much all I've got to go on.
there was no Wonder Woman invisible plane, which did make me kind of sad. But
I love to see her just sitting up 30,000 feet.
well,
Just
well, the thing
visible.
is, and I had a couple people did kind of go like, "Oh, no invisible plane." Look, you have to understand, like there is just some stuff that will not translate to film, and having her sitting in invisible fucking plane. But you know what I mean? Like you,
No, 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 it didn't fit. It did not fit at all.
yeah, like you do really need to to dial it back a little bit sometimes. Um, but let's kind of just jump into Gal Gadot, who plays, of course, Diana Prince, Wonder Woman. So she's born in. So here's the thing. So and I will be the first to admit, it's been a while since I've read some Wonder Woman. So this is kind of a mixture of her original origin mixed with the New 52. If you're not nerdy, look up what the New 52 is. It's actually pretty damn good. So is Wonder Woman's current run. But so she's born in on this pilot this island for Amazon. So that was created by Zeus in his dying, as they mentioned, in his dying breath. Which I gotta admit, so you may be surprised by what I'm about to say. Uh, Scott, I like this better than Thor.
Ooh.
I like this better than I like this as much as first Captain America. Um,
Wow.
I almost like this as much as the first Iron Man. Like
I like the peanut gallery over here.
dude. No,
Ooh, ah.
so Scott, I'm gonna tell you right now, man, and man, I know I said it earlier, but I was so praying for this movie because at this point, it's almost like making fun of Transformers movies, where it's like I almost don't even. Okay, that's not true. I hate Transformers. Wait a minute. Sorry, now that I said it out loud, I go, wait a minute, no. The DC movies, though, I want the DC movies to be good because I'm sick of all these no good assholes saying like Hunter only likes Marvel. No, I don't. God damn it! I just want DC to make good shit.
Especially Wonder Woman. Like this is like a cornerstone. Like this is like Batman level, like
Yeah,
superhero in the universe, and like we're fans. We want them to get it right. We always do. But going into it, we knew Zack Snyder was involved. Like. And unproven director. You never like you go back to our trailer review. I can guarantee you that we were very skeptical about it.
yeah. So I think I was the one out of the three of us that was probably the most hopeful. But even I was thinking, I was kind of hopeful about Suicide Squad too, and they kind of fucked me on that. So I was nervous going into this, but Diana Prince, she's born on on the island of Amazons, and so that island is untouched, is in theory pretty much like you can't find it, and so the island gets invaded basically by Steve Trevor, played by the dreamy Chris Pine. Ooh, and
Gorgeous.
I know, God, that beard. But Chris Pratt or Chris Pine, Scott, which one do you?
Mm, I've always been a Pine boy, so I gotta stick with my boy Pine on this one.
Interesting.
His eyes are too dreamy. I'm sorry.
Well, I have to go Chris Pratt because I love him as Andy Dwyer.
Oh,
So
you bastard.
yeah,
They are both great Chris's. I will say
they
that.
really are. I'm quite a fan of both of them. But Chris Pine, so he lands on their island, and I think one of the scenes that had me sold on the movie pretty early on. So one thing this movie does really well is every woman who's an Amazon looks like they could beat the shit out of you. I was afraid for Steve Trevor. I'm like, dude, you landed on the wrong fucking island because they show all these buff Amazon women, and you're like, damn, dude.
Well, and you know what? Like they didn't. I feel like they could have made them like in my head, Amazonian women are like insanely tall and like way bigger than everybody, and they didn't really go that way. But you could 100% tell how powerful that these women were, and like where he's found himself, he could just as easily die, and it doesn't matter if that them being women or not. They definitely have a powerful presence on that island.
Yeah, I gotta be honest with you, man. I thought they found a good balance of making these women beautiful, but making them like scary because Robin Wright is in this, and Robin Wright is a woman I have had a thing for as long as I can remember. To be totally honest with you, and seeing her on House of Cards, I'm just like, oh, you're such a bitch. I should just kill you. But
I know I'm going. I'm watching the new season right now. And it's like, Robin Wright, you are a bad girl.
yeah, she's almost 50 and looks amazing. She plays Antiope, I believe, actually, who is Connie Nielsen's Hippolyta's uh, basically her top in command, and you get to see a little bit of her, and Robin Wright just goes ham in this movie. She's a badass, and I, so the island ends up getting invaded, and it turns into so I know I'm kind of going all over the place. I know I've never done that, but watching this movie, Scott, I'm sitting there and thinking this is way too epic, and I mean way too epic in the sense of I expected it to be epic, but not on this
Mhm.
scale because the fight between the Amazons and the oh God, why am I totally?
German.
Thank you. I was like German sounds right, but I don't want to sound dumb, so thank you. But um, the fight between them and the Germans is insane because it takes place on the beach and there's arrows flying. It's very cowboys and Indians ish, which I think was definitely intended because when they start shooting these women, you're like, wow, what a bunch of dicks. But but uh, it's really crazy, and it's the first time you really get to see Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman in combat, and the scene does a good job of showing like hey, she can hold her own. What did you think of that scene?
Yeah, for sure. I feel like it's a bit of a climax. I mean, there's really two parts to this movie. One being on their island and kind of the backstory of Diana, and then the other being a part of World War One. And this is kind of the worlds clashing. But yeah, I feel like they really kind of kicked it off in that way, and that really leads is kind of a precursor to a lot of the other action in this movie, which I think is like really the crowning achievement of this movie is the action. And it really begins with this beach scene where you have this like ancient civilization going up against the new force that is the Germans and their new weaponry. And like I said, I feel like the action is something that has always been missing in DC movies, and the choreography and the way that fights are put together. I always felt like Marvel was a step ahead in that category, but I feel like this movie, and you said it about this opening scene, they really stepped up and they put a lot of emphasis on that, and they used something that has been incorrectly used
Yes,
before and that you have had a huge problem
I
with,
have.
which and I was really interested to hear what you had to say about this, but they used a fair amount of slow-mo in this, and obviously we can point that back to Zack Snyder, but I will say I think it was used correctly. Like I feel like there are moments in movies where it is called for and you really get to see someone in their kind of their full glory, and then there's other times where you can just abuse it, and they've Zack Snyder has done that before, but I feel like in this one it's kind of the outlier. I feel like they really put it in places throughout these fight scenes for you to really soak in Wonder Woman in all of her glory. Would you agree?
Scott, God damn it, get out of my head. I could not. And Scott, so I wish I was there watching this with you because I was sitting there looking at the screen and I was just shaking my head the whole time because Zack Snyder's done so many films in the last 10 years, and I'm sorry, Patty Jenkins has been on the bench for this fucking long. She hits a home run her next fucking at bat. It made me hate Zack Snyder more, to be totally honest with you. Because I'm sitting there, I'm thinking, there's no goddamn reason you could have done something like this. You fucking buffoon. But watching, sorry, but watching this, I started laughing at a point. So Diana ends up going to London, which which made me laugh just from jump because the first thing she says after he goes, "Welcome to jolly old London," she goes, "It's horrible, like it's hideous here," and he goes, "Yeah, it's not for everybody." I went, I was like, well done, movie. That's another thing. The humor works so well humor, there's jokes, and there's color. And Scott, dude, I
It wasn't forced too. That was like my biggest thing about the other DC movies. Like they really jam it in there. This one, it wasn't even noticeable to the point where it was so natural. I feel like, especially her interactions with people, I think that goes, I mean, a long way to say kind of what a star Gal Gadot is.
Yeah, and one thing I will say is there's a point back on the island where they have him in the lasso of truth. Which, by the way, I was a little worried about how the lasso would look. The lasso looked fantastic. They did a great job with the CG on that, but they have him tied up and they're asking him all these questions. And I love the scene because if memory serves, they never made the rope kind of feel like it was almost torturous. It's almost just like you say the truth, that's it. But they made it feel like made it sound like it was like burning him or like hurting him to be
Mhm.
in it. So he was just like, so he went, damn it, fine, shit, here you go. And I thought it was a very subtle but a very nice touch to it. And also when Diana actually goes and gets all the pieces like of the Wonder Woman outfit, it's a pretty cool way how she ends up getting everything. And her speech, not her speech, but her kind of parting speech with her mom was horribly well done, and the cinematography shot on it was great. So when she gets to London, she ends up becoming a part of the. She ends up fighting against the Germans because the god of war Ares, she believes, has returned to go ahead and start with this war, which is pretty damn cool concept. So Scott, before I throw it back to you, I will just say the scene. One thing that's bugged me about the DC movies, one of many, is that you never get that reveal with the costume. You know what I mean? Like
Mhm.
the first time you see Cap put on his shield, it's a oh shit, okay. First time Iron Man suits up. We
Mhm.
never really got anything like that with new Batman. We never got anything really like that with Superman. I mean, the costumes in the Fortress of Solitude or wherever, but that's really the suit up moment you get. There is a scene where she's in the trenches and she's in no man's land,
Mhm.
which is actually what it's called, which is a very nice wink 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 nudge nudge, and you get this reveal of the costume that is shot so beautifully. And Scott, I feel like I'm just praising the hell out of this movie, man. It's one of my favorite action scenes I've seen in a comic book movie. It may, well, it's definitely my favorite action scene the since the airport scene in Civil War. But it's pretty close to the underpass scene for me in Winter Soldier. I enjoyed the hell out of it because she just goes off. It's like in Logan when Wolverine hits berserker mode. You're like, God damn, okay, where she's just not fucking around. It is epic. It is epic to watch. What did you think about that scene?
Yeah, I feel like that was definitely. I think one could gripe about the still images and the slow mo. There was definitely a lot of wind blowing in the hair and getting the right perfect shot of her like action shots. But I feel like, especially in that setting, it really fit. It was like super, I guess you could say artsy in a way, like where the cinematography and the lighting kind of all came together. You still kind of get that darker DC vibe. I feel like I did feel that, but none of it was forced.
No,
Like,
it
if,
wasn't.
like a lot of the action, especially you go back to Superman and the bashing into the buildings over and over and over, and it's just like it's tiresome. I feel like action was planned and it was purposeful. She didn't really like necessarily show off, but she was driven and I feel like she stayed true to the character and her just purely seeking justice and Ares, and feel like I like the kind of Greek mythology twist in it. I like the kind of the foundation and learning about why she does what she does, and when she went about it. And obviously, Germans are always a great enemy, right? Like
True.
you
They're the
got
worst.
the crazy chemist, you got the crazy generals. Like I like the chemist aspect, and yeah, there was definitely a lot to love about this movie. It was, and going back to that scene, I feel like her rising out of the trenches in excuse me, No Man's Land, and like really inspiring the rest of the army. Um, Huge pivotal moment. I feel like they just things fit in this movie where things haven't fit before in DC movies.
Yeah.
And it was like pleasant to watch for once. It was like, oh, I can sit back and enjoy this now.
That's all I kept thinking, and honestly, man, the thought that kept going through my head is, "Don't fuck this up, don't fuck this up." Just like keep where you are now, keep it here.
Hmm.
And Scott, I'm gonna tell you right now, man, I was at a fan fucking tastic until the last 20 minutes, and the last 20 minutes is where the movie doesn't nosedive is too strong, but it definitely dips, and I didn't realize it till after the credits rolled. Zack Snyder had a part to do with the story, and all I thought is that last 20 minutes was Zack goddamn Snyder because it feels so Batman v Superman ish
Hmm.
and I just sat there. I was thinking, God damn it, you were so close. They were the Tennessee Titans of this movie, man. It was right there on the 1 yard line. Just like fan fucking tastic's right there, and then Zack Snyder. And I have no proof it's Zack Snyder, but if you watch it, it's Zack Snyder, I just went, son of a bitch. You were so goddamn close. It's real. The thing is, there has to be CG in it. I get it, but it's so CGI heavy, and it's really CGI heavy, and when and this is such a so no spoilers here. I'm gonna dance around this, but when Ares is revealed, there's this point where this weapon that's been told about earlier in the movie, the God Killer, which is the one thing that can kill Ares. There's a reason why it's on the top of a roof, and Ares is just staring at one woman, and the way that the movie cuts it, she jumps up to the get the God's Killer, and Ares just doesn't move. Like he's like, oh, okay, go ahead,
Yeah,
get the
I did notice that. That's funny you mentioned that.
and it's one of those things that it's really jarring when it happens. I went, okay, don't love that. And there is some points with the way the scene is cut, as far as like when she's getting hit and everything. It's a little choppy in that last battle. You're kind of your thoughts on that, Scott?
Yeah, I like the way that they wrapped it up. DC does get muddled a little bit in the CG. I feel like they can rest on it too much. We've seen that in previous movies. Um, but I think that along this, storyline wise, I think that it really arced at the right time, and I was not expecting to be emotional towards the end of this thing, and it really tugs at the heartstrings
We were
towards
both.
towards the end. I know, but it was I was not expecting it, and I don't usually get that out of a DC movie, and it really made you care about her and what she's really after, and not just her being really a pawn in this universe. And I don't know, there's some characters I really like, Robin Wright and Ewan Bremner. I always love him in movies. And just the Chris Pine, Connie Nielsen, I feel like they cast well. And I definitely the Ares thing could have been done better, and I feel like even that last fight scene could have been done better. Um, but she really shows her colors towards the end, and I think it's worth the wait.
Yeah, no, I agree, and I think what had me really happy is that they do a great job of building each character up. Diana and Steve's their relationship never feels forced. It feels like, okay, yeah, this could actually happen. It's really sweet watching them together. It's like, oh, that's so cute.
It's exactly like that.
Yeah, it's and there's this line that had me genuinely. I mean, I was laughing hard when and they show in the trailer where he goes, oh, you've never seen, like, what was your dad like? And she was like, I was made out of clay brought to life by Zeus. And he just kind of looks up at the sky and goes, well, that's neat. I was laughing so hard. So they
Chris Pine is the best. He's such like a sarcastic person, but he can bring the drama.
True, and the thing is, if you were him, what else would you say? If this woman's telling you that she was made out of clay, you'd be thinking, "What the fuck is wrong with this bitch?" You're like it makes sense his reactions, but they do a really good job of not just showcasing her emotionally, but when her power set is pretty intense, and this is why if you read your comics, boys and girls, which you should, she's one of the few people in the world who can go toe to toe with Superman, and they do a great job of showing, hey, if they fought, you would not be wrong for choosing her. There's a scene where she destroys a bell tower. I was laughing so hard because it's one of those, oh my god, okay, shit, you're strong moments where I went, okay, movie, you sold me, you got me, and it made me really happy watching this because little girls now can say, hey, I want to be like Wonder Woman, and it was cool talking to a couple of parents who actually took their kids to go see this. Because I was just asking, I was like, yeah, so were you excited like for this? And the little kids were like, yeah, we were so excited. And this one girl I saw walking out was doing the Wonder Woman pose at the end where she crossed the arms. I went, oh, I was like, oh, that's cool, man. I love seeing kids get pumped up for stuff like that. So to kind of before I throw it back to you, I mean, I'm just gonna kind of wrap up my final thoughts here. You know, I got to sleep on it, man. And while that Ares thing did bother me, and while the last fight scene, it's not where it needed to be for me. What, dude? When I was enjoying this so much, to the point where I was genuinely loving the movie. So because I'm feeling good about it, and I really loved it, I'm gonna do it, Scott. I think I'm gonna go there. I'm gonna give it, and I can't believe I'm saying this about DC movie. I'm gonna give it. You know, I'm I'm sitting there thinking about it. I just don't. Uh, you know what? I'm
Your
I'm
heart.
I'm gonna do it. I'm gonna give it a fan fucking tastic. I'm doing it.
Wow.
I'm doing it.
Wow, that's impressive.
Scott, because when I left the theater initially, I went, oh, it's an A. But you know what? If you're a Wonder Woman fan, this is. I can only hope Spider-Man: Homecoming is half as good as this, because that's the next thing for me to be worried about with Spider-Man. But thank God, man, thank fucking God, DC finally got one of these fucking movies right. So yeah, it deserves this fan fucking tastic. So Scott, I'm gonna let you take your time, wrap up, and give us your grade, sir.
Yeah, I think it goes to, goes without saying that we both wanted this to be good, but you only get a few chances at an origin story before you see it over and over, and that's kind of the Spider-Man deal where we're just so tired of seeing this
Yeah.
origin story, and we have yet to see Wonder Woman on a large scale like this. And you really get one chance with it, and luckily for them, they did it. I feel like they really knocked it out with this one, and they're really able to establish a character, which is what a crazy concept to establish one character before you go running into a whole group of them. Um, like, what a novel idea.
Yeah.
Just good to see her backstory. She worked great with Chris Pine. He kind of has that snarky attitude, but still really can pull it in with the emotion. There's a last scene
Or
where,
she pull it in.
uh,
I'm sorry. What?
damn, where there's a emotional scene towards the end where they have to separate
Yeah.
for a moment, and that one really got me. Whereas like just her like out she's basically a god, and uh for her to kind of come down to the human level, and they kind of humanize her within London, I think was really smart, and you really got to care for this person and really form some sort of emotional connection with them, so that once you're able to do that, then you actually care about the things that they're doing and fighting for, and fighting people they're fighting with. I feel like they're really able to establish that in this movie. The action was much improved. Um, I mean, I probably could have taken, you know, that whole first part of this movie out and just had her fighting, doing the front line stuff. I felt like her little crew that she was with, including Ewan Bremner, who's just a drunken Irish asshole, um, who is amazing in this. It's their little kind of group of their kind little group of I don't know whatever you want to call them. I really enjoyed that. I really like the camaraderie in that. But I feel like one thing I noticed if I had to gripe on it,
Oh, here we go.
the I feel like there's certain things about a movie that catch me, and accents are one of them.
Okay.
Like if somebody is, maybe doesn't speak one language but is trying to imitate another that is not native to them. I felt like the Amazonian kind of accent was.
Think it fell in and out a little bit, or
Yeah, I
okay.
don't know if it fell in and out, but it was like a cross between a couple, and I feel like they were just being, it was just like a manly kind of accent that they were trying to mimic, whether it was Russian or like European or something. It just felt a little off. And I think after a while, the stills of her with the hair flowing and like the slow mo, I think I would not be mad at you if you griped over that stuff. So I feel like those are genuine concerns, but overall, I mean, this is where DC needs to go, and they really need to try to replicate this in further movies, especially solo movies with one superhero.
Yep.
Um, that being said, I don't think I can give it our highest grade,
Oh, you son of a bitch! I'm
but
sorry.
I gotta go with the A. This was
Okay.
a great movie. I think the reason I don't go higher is because I think a lot of it had to do with my expectations going in. Because going in, they were like just basement level expectations, like not really expecting anything good to come with this, and I was blown out of the water. So I feel like I kind of had to temper because of that, but great movie. They're heading in the right direction, and looking forward to more along in this series.
Okay, fair, fair enough. And I will say my grade may be affected by my expectations because it's like the worst relationship you've ever been in. DC keeps going, oh, we've changed, baby, and then you get another piece. But
Legion, yeah, for sure. Yeah, it's
you
it's
know,
hard to trust them with a movie.
yeah. So I was genuinely happy, and dude, I don't know why I've been crying a lot more in movies recently. I don't know if it's because I love doing this with you guys, or I'm just getting more emotional at my old age of 30. But I was tearing up at the end of this movie where, with the scene between Steve and Diana. I was like, damn, okay, you're pulling up the heartstrings. I don't know how I feel about that, but I genuinely did love this movie, and I'm probably gonna go see it again this weekend. Patty Jenkins, bravo! And apparently she's contractually signed up already for a second one, so thank God. One thing I will say, um, there's like an explosion at the end of the movie. It might be a very interesting place to start Justice League, and I'll leave it at that.
Hmm.
But because they don't tell you what, there's this explosion and you don't know what it is. You just hear an explosion, and she literally leaps into action. So I'm curious what that was. But last thing I'll say, the Wonder Woman theme is my favorite theme out of the three themes that they've had with the Superman, the
Hmm.
new Superman one, and the new
And I
Batman
feel like
one.
it was placed correctly too.
Yeah, yeah, they made that epically loud, and it's loud too. When it starts boom, but I was like, Jesus Christ, yeah, I was like, damn, all right, like, but I feel like I could work out to that too. It was like, fuck yeah,
Yeah,
like,
yeah, fuck them up. Yeah,
yeah,
yeah, get them.
but yeah, get him good, get him good. But the theme worked really well too. So yeah, damn, what are you gonna say? Kudos are one.
Can't say Hunter never liked a DC movie.
I know, seriously, dude. And I was laughing too because that was the first thing I thought. I was trolling my friend Kalani. Kalani, I love you, because I posted that status where I said, "Oh well, at least it's better than Suicide Squad." And she was like, "You're such a dick." I was like, "Oh, you never know. I might actually love it. Shut the fuck up." Um, but well, it is better than Suicide Squad, so I wasn't wrong.
You weren't wrong.
Guys, what did you think of Wonder Woman? Oh, by the way, number one, number one film in history for a female director, I believe.
That's
Yeah, like 100 million, which broke the record for 50 Shades of Grey. So that's another great thing that Wonder Woman
Oh,
did.
darn.
Yeah, I know. Darn it, 50 Shades doesn't have a record anymore, but thank God. But guys, what did you think of Wonder Woman? Let us know in the comments below. You can follow us here on SoundCloud at The Real Pineapple 775. Like us on Facebook at The Real Pineapple. Follow us on Podbean at The Real Pineapple. You can follow yours truly on the Twitter at JHunter Real Pineapple. And you can follow Scott on Twitter at
Newman the First.
and you can follow our other comrade, Colin, we love you, buddy, at The Real O'Neill. Guys, this weekend we'll have a review up for The Mummy. God damn it, I am not excited about it. I was looking at my calendar where I have all our movies laid up. It's like, oh, what's coming out this? Oh, great, The Mummy's up this weekend.
I thought you were about to say Captain Underpants.
Actually, I'm actually gonna try and see that this weekend. I just ran out
You
of
know
time.
what? I'll see it too.
All right, we'll knock it out. But we will be reviewing the. God, I don't want to. I don't want to see the Mummy. What would you rather see, the Mummy or Transformers?
Oh God. The Mummy only because like I still have like vaguely positive thoughts about some of those movies.
Yeah, that's fair.
But I don't have any good memories of the Transformers movies.
That is fair. That's a very fair point, actually. But guys, we'll have reviews up for the Mummy, and I'll have my review up for the first Spider-Man. I start my Spider-Man film series because we are actually 32 days, not like I'm counting, away from Spider-Man Homecoming. I'm so excited! Oh my god! So I'm gonna start with the first Spider-Man movie this week. So guys, thanks so much. We'll talk to you soon.
Peace.